Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contracts, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become one of the co-authors of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Amir Adnani on the line. He's chairman over at GoldMining, Inc. Amir, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam. It's great to be on your show and to connect with you.
Oh, man, Amir. So excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about the market, get an update on what's going on in the metals with you. And we're also going to talk about what you're doing over at GoldMining, Inc. So excited to learn more about your company and bring that to my audience. But before we do that, let's go a little bit further into your background. So how'd you get started in your career and in business?
Adam, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been interested from a young age in anything to do with starting a business, building a business, and I was fortunate where the sector that I was always fond of, that I had some family background in, and my father was in the commodity business. I was interested in the commodity business. I went to the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada, which happens to be basically at the epicenter, kind of the heart of where exploration and mining type of industries and activities are. So if you think about if you're a technology entrepreneur, where do you want to be? You want to be in Palo Alto. And then if you're in mining and you want to be a mining entrepreneur, where do you want to be? You want to be in Vancouver, Canada. So I was at the right place. I was able to get going straight out of university to partner up with the right people to basically start various businesses. And one of those businesses that I founded is called GoldMining that you touched on. I'm the chairman of that company. This is, the life of an entrepreneur involves always understanding how to build teams, always understand how to get the best partners, get the best backers, and to be a problem solver, right? Every day you wake up, you got some new challenges and problems to deal with. But I think in the mining industry and in commodities, to be successful and to be an effective entrepreneur, you got to be contrarian and you got to be able to kind of think counter-cyclically. And that's kind of where I think the conversation on gold goes. Like I've been interested in gold, and our company, GoldMining, has been acquiring gold projects for almost a decade now. But for most of that decade, gold was completely out of favor. I mean, before you had headlines like recently, right? Warren Buffett acquires a stake in Barrick Gold, right?
Yep.
We were acquiring projects gold projects when gold was $1,000 an ounce, not $2,000 an ounce. And we were able to really develop a portfolio at the right time in the market, at the right valuations. And that brings us to this conversation today, I guess.
Man, that's awesome, and I'll tell you, I believe you're the second generation in the metals that I've met in terms of family. So it's a family business. This is awesome, or at least in terms of where your inspiration come from. That's awesome, and I love your analogy. You want to be in Silicon Valley, that's what you want to do. Tech, you're like got to be in British Columbia. You want to do mining. I love this. So this is good. So Amir, I do want to go further into GoldMining Inc. So you touched on what the company's doing in acquiring projects. Talk a little bit more, because there's a lot of investors, there's a lot of different people that are interested in the metals, and I want to get them to get a better feel for your company overall.
I think when you think about mining, and when you think about when a company says, or when someone says we're in exploration versus production, in the world of mining, the way that works is that you basically have projects, a piece of land, a property, right, where you need to do drilling and you need to look for a mineral And the way you look for it is you spend a lot of money drilling. You look to see what is in the ground, what quantities of gold or copper or uranium, whatever you're looking for is available. You got to do, people don't appreciate, but like hundreds of millions of dollars goes into projects before they are a mine where you start extracting and pulling something out of the ground. It's very analogous. If your audience, let's say, has ever heard companies talk about pharmaceutical research, think about the hundreds of millions of dollars that goes into drug development, right? Drug R&D before a drug passes through all the FDA approvals before it can be commercialized, right? And so mining is very similar to that. You got to go through many phases of exploration and development before you have an operating mine. So what I've been interested in and what GoldMining was interested in was to look for projects during the bear market for gold. So when did the bear market for gold start? The most recent one started in 2012. Price of gold basically just fell after a period of rising and kind of peaked in 2011 and $1,900 an ounce. And from there on, it basically was a bear market. And like I said, the gold price was hovering much closer to $1,000 an ounce. And there were projects, Adam, that had been drilled, that had quantified gold resource in the ground, but they were not in production, so pre-production projects. And you could buy these types of assets or these types of projects for 10 cents on the dollar. So to give you an idea, we were able to go out there and we were able to buy, in total, we spent $80 million acquiring projects that in the bull market for gold, the last bull market for gold in 2010, 2011, had peak market cap combined of $850 million. And then during the bear market for gold that ensued, we ended up paying $80 million to acquire the same things that were worth over $800 million. Your classic case of buying for 10 cents on the dollar. And then you say, okay, well, let's quantify it further. So we spent $80 million acquiring these projects. How much money had gone into, there's one thing to talk about market value, but okay, what had actually been spent going into developing these projects? That number was $330 million. So $330 million of cash had gone into developing these properties, defining how much gold is in the ground in terms of gold resources, in terms of permitting work and other things that needs to happen. $330 million of cash has gone into the ground, and you're picking it up for $80 million. So in every sense, this is sort of that contrarian bent that I was talking about, right? That if you could sort of think countercyclically in resources, and this is what we did, and you got to have patience, you got to have stamina, you got to kind of, a bear market can be a long, brutal thing, right? And you got to have the stamina to get through that. And that's what we did. And those are specifically the type of opportunities we looked for. We bought them, we warehoused them, we built basically a mineral bank is what our company was. We were just buying and holding. We ended up, Adam, with projects in 5 countries in the Americas. We're in the U.S., Canada, Colombia, Peru, and Brazil. The total gold resource in the ground that was independently verified that we acquired was roughly 12 million ounces of gold in the measured and indicated category and 13 million ounces in the inferred category. For your audience that may not appreciate whether that's little or a lot, that is comparable to what multi-billion-dollar gold producers have today in terms of their gold inventory, their gold resource in the ground. So it was certainly a sizable portfolio. It was something that gives us critical mass and acquired basically at the bottom of the cycle valuations.
That's awesome. So Amir, I know your company is trading as, I'm glad you're bringing up gold, number one, and I know your company's trading at an all-time high. What is Gold Royalty Corp, and what's the significance of it and its new chairman and CEO?
Well, look, I mean, when you think about our company, again, as I mentioned, for close to a decade, we've been acquiring gold projects that we own 100%. And we've got critical mass, 14 projects, big resource portfolio. And now as we enter a bull market for gold, we're looking to ways to unlock the value of this portfolio. We acquired, if you think about what we paid for the resource in the ground, Adam, we paid about $4 per ounce of gold resource in the ground. Think about that, right? And that's low because today gold resources in the ground today are trading anywhere between $100 to $200. I mean, it's a significant re-rating that you experience as a company. So even today, if I take only our measured and indicated gold resources in the ground and where our current market value is, we're well below $20 per gold resource in the ground, just in our measured and indicated category. So we had to unlock value. We had to kind of think of ways we can capture a bigger market share out there of investors who are interested in our business, get a re-rating on the asset base that we acquired during the bear market. Now we're in a bull market for gold. So one of the dynamics that we noticed in the marketplace was the fact that companies that have been created that are only focused on acquiring and holding royalties on gold projects or gold mines. And so what that is you don't own the mine, you don't have anything to do with the operation of the mine, you don't spend any money on the mine, you simply have the right, it could be 1%, it could be 2% of the future revenue of that mine that you receive as a royalty. And you pay something up front to have that royalty right, but your business is quite simplified. And your ability to generate revenue later from these various royalties and have very little G&A or cost of doing business is quite phenomenal. People say royalty companies in the gold sector right now have a higher revenue per head than Goldman Sachs. It's just a very efficient way of generating revenue without being involved and getting your hands dirty when it comes to like the business of mining, which is capital intensive, time consuming, permitting, all those headaches that comes with mining. Royalty companies don't have those issues. And they, as a result, trade at much better multiples in the market than the miners do. So to give you an idea, the multiple that a royalty company would get, let's say on net asset value, would be twice as much as what a mining company would get. And so we looked at all of this and we thought, geez, we own a big portfolio. We have all these assets. If we can assemble a strong team and form a new business that we would own 100%. And that business would own newly created royalties on our assets. And so it's a distinct form of value from what we own. We own the properties 100%, and we're going to look to develop them and maybe divest them or joint venture them as we continue in this bull market for gold. But if we have a distinct vehicle with a distinct form of value, which a royalty is, and our shareholders own that 100%, and then we look to develop that and capture the more attractive multiples that sector receives, i.e. the royalty space, then we've done something that enhances value for our shareholders and it doesn't dilute, and it creates basically two companies within one. So we formed Gold Royalty Corp. That business currently is owned 100% by GoldMining. That business controls 14 royalties that we created on our 14 projects. And so that's this maiden portfolio. Then we were able to recruit, and we were quite fortunate to be able to recruit an all-star team to come and basically run this product, truly an all-star team to come run Gold Royalty, led by the chairman and CEO of the company, David Garofalo, who's the former CEO of Gold Corp. Gold Corp was a top 3 gold producer in the world. Last year, Adam, it merged with Newmont in a $32 billion merger, the biggest merger in the history of the gold sector, to create the world's biggest gold producer. That's Newmont today, Newmont Gold Corp. And so the CEO that basically drove that merger and was able to complete that, David Garofalo, has joined our company now for Royalty as is CEO and chairman. The former head of Bank of America's Metals and Mining Investment Banking practice, John Griffith, he is joined as our Chief Development Officer. Another kind of legend in the business, Warren Gilman, who for close to a decade was the head of investments and the CEO for Li Ka-shing in the mining sector. Li Ka-shing is the Warren Buffett of Asia, the wealthiest person in Asia. And also Ian Telfer, another individual who's a mining Hall of Famer, was the former chairman of the World Gold Council, was actually the chairman of Gold Corp, the company that I mentioned earlier, that the biggest merger in the history of the gold sector. So you got an all-star team that we've attracted here to be part of the team at Gold Royalty. In a way, I'm humbled as an entrepreneur that we were able to attract such a quality team, such an A+ team to run this new vehicle. For shareholders of GoldMining, it's exciting because now it's a form of validation, and it's another opportunity inside our company that once we look to IPO Gold Royalty, that crystallizes enormous value, in my opinion, for GoldMining shareholders. And I don't know of another company, Adam, in the world today that controls as many gold projects and resources as we do, and we're a pre-production company. So I don't know of any other pre-production company that has this many projects, this many resources, and owns its own gold royalty business with such a talented group of individuals assembled to basically run it. So it's a very unique value proposition. And after a decade of building towards this as an entrepreneur, I'm excited, and I'm humbled that we have achieved the point that you can get that vote of confidence from getting star players in the industry you're in to join you because they see the value of what you've assembled through a very difficult bear market environment. And now finally we got some sunshine, we got some oxygen in the air for the gold companies and the gold sector, and it's a really good position to be in for us.
So speaking of oxygen and sunshine in the air, I know, again, your company's trading at all-time high, and you're becoming eligible for to trade on the NYSE. I mean, are you going to make a push for it? I mean, what's next on that front?
I think we have a whole new chapter in our kind of company's history ahead of us here. I mean, first of all, the share price for any gold stock you look at today, if it's worth what it's doing, its share price should be performing well. We have a gold price at an all-time high, and so if you're in the sector and you have good assets, your share price should be reflecting that. So we're certainly behaving that way, and we're also seeing some very good outperformance in our stock because, again, we have more gold in the ground and we have a very unique business strategy than most junior gold companies. Now, having said that, we also have a record amount of debt in the world. We've never seen this much debt be created in such a short amount of time ever in the history, and we're still not out of the woods. We've got incredibly difficult environment coming up, which means interest rates are going to stay low for longer. And so we do suspect that this environment for gold is just starting. And, whether it's Bank of America's $3,000 an ounce target, or any other kind of market commentary that you see, I think we really have a structural shift towards gold as the investment thesis for gold has truly changed. And so for us, I think we're at the beginning, the very kind of early innings of an environment where our company can now get into a position to develop this portfolio that we spent close to a decade acquiring. I believe that we are eligible for an NYSE American uplisting. So we'll do our best, Adam, and there's obviously no guarantees, but we'll do our best to see if we can realize that. It would be fantastic, and we'll increase the awareness about the company with a more senior listing in the U.S. As we execute the business, you're going to see other developments. I think that the possibility of doing an IPO on our gold royalty business, that's an exciting catalyst. The possibility of landing joint venture partners that want to develop the portfolio that we acquired. We're not going to be in a position to develop every project. We've got 14 of them on our own. So we're going to look to partner up with the companies. That helps reduce the need for us to build a team in every country that we're in, or reduces the need for us to also have to come up with the funding needed to develop each project. So there's a lot of exciting development ahead of us here, because with gold approaching $1,000 an ounce, there is a path forward to develop every project that we own today. Whereas when the gold price was close to $1,000 an ounce when we bought these assets, there wasn't really a path forward to develop them. It was a difficult environment because the cost of capital to go develop a gold asset during a bear market was unacceptable. So I'm really thrilled about the idea that, yeah, we can realize potentially an uplisting. We can get into potentially larger institutions that are going to start to look at the gold sector. Most generalist investors are underweight or still don't really own much in terms of gold stocks or gold companies. They might own physical gold, but obviously, like in any commodity, the commodity price goes up, and those companies that can potentially realize operating leverage with expanding margins with the rise in commodity price are the ones that outperform the commodity. And that's why I think it's an exciting time to be looking at those companies that have that ability to really re-rate higher based on we're either having a big resource base in the ground like we do, or having very distinct catalysts that sets them apart and can drive interest in their stories and build a following, which I really think we have with the gold royalty opportunity that we've created and the team that we've attracted to that company.
Fantastic. Amir, well, this has been great. It's been great having you on the show today. If somebody's listening to this and they want more information on gold mining, I mean, what's the best way for them to connect with the company, to learn more, to follow you, to follow your work? I mean, what's the best way for my listeners to connect with your brand overall?
We're very easy to connect with and follow. We are a public company already. Although we talked about the possibility of gaining a more senior listing in the United States, we do have a senior listing in Canada. We are listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Our ticker symbol in Canada is very easy to remember. It's GOLD, gold. And in the U.S., we're currently listed on the OTCQX market, and there our ticker symbol is GLDLF. But all the information you want is available on our corporate website at www.goldmining.com. And you can follow me personally on Twitter at Amir Adnani. And again, I'm very accessible and as you would expect of a public company, but also a very, very accessible team as well that works with me and supports everything that we do, that would love to hear from your audience if they're interested to learn more about our company.
Fantastic. Well, Amir, really appreciate you coming on the show today. It's been a great time. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Amir, thanks again for coming on the show.
That was great. Look forward to connecting with you again.